Wow, busy one today.
Good to see.
Morning, guys. We will start with the broadcast section that's got no embargo, followed by an embargoed section for 10:30 p.m. No live tweeting during the broadcast section, and phones on silent, please. Michael.
How you doing, you alright?
Very good, thanks. You?
Yeah, good. Team news. Another bombshell. Basuma at the blue on the bench on Saturday.
Yeah, to be honest, it was probably a little bit premature in terms of his preparation, but we value him, and we felt like it was important for him to be with the group, part of the team as much as possible, and make him feel part of it.
Felt like you really enjoyed last week. It was a good result for the club, but also for you. You made a few changes, and they worked. So you went up against a man who gave you the place in the England side. It was a special day for you personally.
A special day because we won. I think ultimately that was the only goal and the only focus to try and get us to get 3 points, and thankfully we did that in a difficult match. But I thought we managed the game quite well, and we were good value for the 3 points. Yeah, and obviously recognising and understanding that we've got another tough one at the weekend, and we have to go there as prepared as possible to hopefully get a good result.
A year ago today, Spurs beat Arsenal 3-0. It was a very famous night. Of course, you're on the coaching staff. Arsenal now 24 points clear. Can you quite believe the difference this season between the two clubs? And do you think there is that big a gap between the two sides? And can Spurs rectify that in the summer?
Yeah, I mean, football can change very, very quickly, good and bad, as we've seen. But I think for me, the common trend with teams that are successful and that do well is they're consistent. They're consistent with how they work and who they are. And hopefully we can find a place where we're consistent as a football club.
More records broken by Harry last Saturday. He says it's not his call on a statue outside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium Monday. It was your call. Would you think Spurs should have a statue down?
I think that's probably a question to answer when he's not playing here. Because then you can really recognise and appreciate the work he's done here. But I think right now that's probably a bit premature, because the reality is Harry is still a Tottenham player, and we're still focused on him achieving more great things for this football club, and hopefully he can do that.
Still a Tottenham player, and the other day Arsene Wenger, of all people, said Harry should stay here at Spurs for at least another season. What do you make of that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, our focus is on Harry until the end of the season, like it is on every other player. And then we realise that at the end of the season, there's some decisions to make for different people and different players. But ultimately, the focus on every single player in that dressing room right now is the next 3 games, because we need to finish the season strong and be in a good place come the summer.
If Spurs qualify for Europe, would you finish the season, you personally thinking, I've achieved good things here over the last few games?
It's tough, because I mean we are in a results business, and I do understand that, and I recognise that. I'm not naive enough to think otherwise, but at the same time, I think in the summer, I'm pretty sure that we'll look at the work we've done and feel like we've done a good job in terms of the culture we've tried to set, the environment we've tried to set, and what we've tried to create at this football club, and hope and expect that going forward that will continue.
Success for the under-17s and 18s recently, obviously disappointment for the under-21s. Can you tell us a bit more about that? Is there maybe an issue in this country at that age group? It's tough, that age group, the development level. Is it something to worry about here, or how do you see it?
I'm not sure. For me, I think the most important phase for any academy player is their scholarship years. When you come in the building full-time, I feel like you need a solid 2 years around the academy coaches, getting taught, and to really understand what it's like. And then, of course, I think that's a difficult area from sort of 18 to 21, 22, where different players probably develop at different ages and want different things. But ultimately, at that age, you need to be good enough for the first team, or the phone needs to ring for you to go and play on loan. I think that's probably the drive behind a lot of the work that happens at different ages. And obviously, we've had a poor outcome in terms of our under-21s, but at the same time we recognise that the 17s and 18s have done well. But as an academy as a whole, I think we want to be better. I think that's not wrong for me to say that.
Sorry to finish on a downer, but there were some pretty disgusting scenes when Sonny was walking past the Crystal Palace fans, and thankfully Spurs and Palace called it out, and it's under investigation. How was Son after that, and how is he this week? I know you speak so well of the players, and you know Son really well, don't you? I just wanted to talk more about him.
Yeah, he's a fantastic human being, and I love him as a person. I love him as a footballer, but more importantly, I love him as a person. And I mean, ultimately, it's sad to see. It's not what we ever want to see. And I feel sad for the people doing it, ultimately. Listen, we stand with Sonny, we stand with all our players. We want to protect all our players at all times, in our stadium, at other stadiums. We want to respect players because they're there and they're entertaining us, and they're giving their lives to entertain us as fans of football. But ultimately, if there's anyone stepping out of line, then they need to be punished. I think it's as simple as that.
Thanks, Michael. Matthew?
Yes. Ryan, 3 games in charge on your second spell at Spurs. 3 games to go till the end of the season. How do you reflect on what happened, what you've done at the club? Because sensational games in Liverpool, even with the defeat, another draw against rival Man United, and now a victory. How do you reflect on your second spell now?
Yeah, obviously we're still sort of halfway through the process, so it's probably tough to truly reflect on where we are at this moment. But I think the general feeling is that we're changing some things that normally take a lot of time, but we understand we haven't really got time. But at the same time, I think everyone here knows who we are, how we work, and what we want to be, and we're trying to get everyone to buy into that.
And since you came back at Spurs, what do you think are the biggest strengths that emerged from the team for the last 3 games?
Listen, I think we know we've got top players. I think we've proven that over a number of years now. We do have top players here, but I think probably the biggest message is that we need to be consistent in every aspect of the game, on the pitch and off the pitch. We need to be consistent as a football club and as a group, and then we need to be together. That's inside here, but then we also need to create an environment and a culture where everyone's together. Our fans are with us. We need our fans. They're amazing. They're the best, and they need to see a team that make them feel part of something.
We already said that you played Europe rivals, Man United and Liverpool. Aston Villa is also a contender for Europe, and Unai Emery has just won the Premier League Manager of the Month prize this morning. How dangerous is Aston Villa, do you think?
Yeah, obviously he's done a fantastic job, not only at Aston Villa, but I'm pretty sure everywhere he's been in his coaching career, he's done an amazing job. And we understand that, we're going to Villa Park and it's going to be a difficult match, like the Premier League always is, but we have to be ready. We have to be ready to fight for a difficult match, but at the same time confident and have belief that we can get a good result.
And last question on Fraser Forster. He's been quite reliable for his few games recently with Spurs. Does it give you a feeling of confidence you can count on and rely on?
Yeah, obviously I think when you're at a top club like we are, you need 2 top keepers, and we do have 2 top keepers, and we've needed both of them this season for different reasons. So we trust Fraser, we believe in Fraser, and we know we can contribute and help the team.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ian?
Hi Ryan, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Yourself?
Good, thank you. Harry was mentioning this week during an interview the club needing, I presume by the club he means the players, needing to go back to the values they showed when Mauricio Pochettino was here. Do you think he was right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'm fully with him on that, 100%.
How have they slipped them, those values?
Listen, we can talk a lot about players, but I think environment, culture, it's everyone, it's everything, the small details, and we have to have many people driving that, not just 1 or 2 people. It has to be driven from within. Listen, I agree with him because I was part of probably the change in terms of setting new standards and a new culture within this place, and listen, you can spend years trying to build something, but at the same time, it can take not much to lose it. Thankfully for us, I think we've still got many good people within these walls that know and feel what good looks like, and probably more importantly, want that as well. So yeah, that's something we absolutely strive for, and I think ultimately that transfers outside the walls as well, to everyone, you guys, our fans, the outside world. When you see a football club that are together and that's strong, then that transfers to everyone.
I think from an outside point of view, people would wonder why that matters so much to a footballer going onto a football pitch to play football and win football matches. If you could just outline why having the right values and the right way to behave Monday to Friday should matter on Saturday.
I think we're talking about a massive football club here, and you come in here and you see the size of this training ground as well, and it's important, it's vital, it's crucial that everyone comes in here and are pulling in the same direction and want the same things. I think that goes for every single football club as well, and we need that. Every club needs that, and yeah, we need that. And I agree with him. I make him right. I'm happy that he said it, because he's one of the people that I want to drive it, because he's important for us in terms of his stature at this football club, but also understanding that there's many people that can contribute as well.
He's getting close to 50 goals now behind Alan Shearer, which is, again, something he said he wants to try and beat. Do you think, judging by his goal scoring record, that's probably about 2 years, do you reckon he could do that as a Spurs player?
Listen, I think Harry will continue to score goals. I have absolutely no doubt about that. I said after the Palace game, I don't really like to look too far ahead, because in football and in life, honestly, anything can happen. It's just important that Harry's focused on every game, and our players are focused on every game that they appear in. And yeah, he's an example of someone that's always focused. And I've always said that if Harry plays games of football, he'll score goals. We know that.
Just two more. Another pillar of this team for the last decade has been Hugh Millery's been linked with maybe moving away in a new challenge. I think many people think he's probably played his last game for the club. If he goes, you obviously need a new goalkeeper for next year. Is there a big overhaul needed, or is it just little bits and pieces that will be needed for whoever it is, be it you or another manager, to come in and sort out in the summer?
I think first of all we're talking about a hypothetical situation there in terms of an individual, and at the same time we recognise, and honestly, the next 3 games are important for us. And then I'm sure those conversations will happen. We know we've got a big squad. We know we've got players coming back from loan, and maybe the club want to do some business. I'm not sure. It's not necessarily always the right and best option. But that's 2 or 3 weeks' time, and we can't look too far ahead. We really have to focus on now, because our next 3 games are really important to finish the season well.
And finally, you mentioned before about Europe. Does it matter which competition Spurs are in this season? I mean, the Europa Conference League is still a new competition, but as Roma showed last year and West Ham is showing this year, it's still a European competition to be taken seriously. Or does it have to be Europa League for Spurs to be a success?
I think we're in a moment where we need to try and just finish as high as possible and get as many results as we can in these next 3 games, and then see where we are. Hopefully that is in Europe. And listen, ultimately, competition is competition, and it would be very wrong for any club to speak bad about a competition. You want to win, and to be perfectly honest, I think Jose Mourinho has done an incredible job to give that competition a real stance and importance. I think that was probably quite crucial that something like that did happen. So whoever's in Europe, we see with West Ham now, there is a desire to try and win.
Thanks, Ryan.
Finish this section with Ali, please.
Hi there, Ryan. Obviously, you've been here before. You did all this in 2021. I just wondered, what have you found the differences are? It might be in yourself, the club, the squad, between those 2 periods where you've taken charge?
Obviously, we've come in at quite difficult moments. I think that's the similarity in both, which is tough. That makes it quite difficult, because when you don't have a lot of time, it's really tough to change and influence too much. But at the same time, I think the first time probably I thought I could do a good job, as opposed to this time I know we could do a good job. I think that's the general feeling from me and my coaching team. And hopefully we'll finish the season and look back and say, yeah, we did do a good job.
Is that a confidence thing with you, in that obviously with your pro licence now, you're just a more experienced coach? Is that part of that?
Yeah, I've spoke about it a lot. I mean, first of all, I know this football club. I know this football club very well, and I feel this football club inside of me, which I think can help. But ultimately, I hear a lot of people. I mean, naturally, we'll say about age and stuff like this, but honestly, it really feels irrelevant. It feels irrelevant because in football, it does not matter how many years you've had in the game, how much experience you've had. You're being judged every single day, every single game. You're being judged. That's the nature of football. So it really doesn't matter to me how old I am, how many years I've been coaching. I feel ready to help the team and help the football club, and that's probably the most important thing.
Right into that, a lot of the players in the last few weeks have been kind of really pushing your claims as well to be the next permanent boss. How does it make you feel to hear these players responding so well to you?
Yeah, obviously that's a nice feeling, but at the same time I understand we need to get results on and off the pitch. It's the nature of the business. We're aware of that, and hopefully we will do that.
One of those players I want to talk about, Dejan Kulusevski. Obviously, just was such a sensational second half of the season when he arrived. This one's been more difficult for him. How do you, or any coach, whoever it is, kind of get him back to the Dejan maybe for next season?
Yeah, listen, I love Decky as a player. I think he's got so much room to grow and be a top player, even though he already is a top player. At the same time, when you play for a club like this, I think it's important that you feel like you have to earn the shirt in every moment. Naturally, when you play for a club like this, there's competition, and at the moment, well, last week we see that he was on the bench, but he come on and he helped the team get the result, which is important because you need a full squad now. The intensity, the demands of the Premier League is so much that it's bigger than just the 11 players playing on the pitch at the start. You need players to come on and be ready to contribute and help. We see with Eric Dyer the other day as well, when Clem went off injured, he had to be ready for 5 minutes. And he played an important role. So that's the message to all of our players, that we value all of them. They've all got an important role to play, albeit for 3 games towards the end of the season. But I think going forward as well, that's a big message.
There's been some talk back in Italy that maybe Decky might return to Juventus, might not be here next season. Do you think there's any doubt that Spurs will make that a permanent deal?
I'm not sure about that, if I'm perfectly honest. I think the general feeling is that Decky's a Tottenham player. So I mean, those conversations, like many other conversations about other players, will probably happen come the end of the season.
Okay, we'll end the broadcast section then, move on to the embargo for 10:30 p.m. tonight.